What's going on, Cam?
You know, Mitch, not much, but I'm happy to be here. How are you?
I'm super excited that you're happy to be here. I am happy to be here as well.
Good. You better be.
My cat is really excited that you're here too. Apparently, he just ran off into the corner.
I have that effect on cats.
So, and he's talking. I'm really hot right now, aren't I? Check 1 2 1 2 2 2. There we go. That's better. I noticed on the last couple episodes that my mic's been really hot. So, not in a good way. So, you like donuts, man?
I mean, yeah. I don't think you're human if you don't enjoy donuts.
Yeah, who doesn't enjoy a good donut, really? So I was really tempted this morning, and I decided against it, but I was really tempted to swing by Dunkin' Donuts. What's your favorite donut?
Either a Boston cream or a apple fritter.
Both solid choices. So
Yes.
Apple fritter, definitely. So if I ran over to Dunkin' Donuts this morning, I would have gotten a apple fritter and a Bavarian cream, which is very much like your Boston cream.
Yeah.
So, So yeah, you and I think, are definitely on the same page when it comes to donuts. So good deal. I think we might have some disagreements on the episode today, but I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be super fun.
Never. We always agree. We always agree.
Just so much harmony on this podcast. So we talked about my experience at Galaxy's Edge last time. I love donuts. Now I got donuts on the brain. But I've gotten some of my stuff that I had shipped back here, which, did I tell you, it was $167 to ship it back here?
Yeah, I remember it being a significant amount.
It's ridiculous. So we talked very briefly before that you had a friend that went down to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And had the opportunity to do the Savi's workshop. And I'm pulling out my Savi's lightsaber right now. I'm really limited on space in here. Good grief.
That's an awesome carrying case too.
Yeah, they sell that one at one of the shops there. And I bought it originally just because I wanted to be able to have something to carry the blade that I bought for my Kylo Ren hilt. And the case that comes with them is a black, a little bit more basic case, the Savi's blades, that is. So that one I wasn't going to get until later in the day. So, but this is, we talked about this last time. This is the lightsaber that I constructed at Galaxy's Edge. It is the Protect and Defend, for those of you who aren't aware of this. And I don't remember, but I believe I have the purple crystal in this one. Which one did your friend get?
Her blade is blue.
Blue? Okay. Yeah. Solid choice. But I got purple. Yeah, so good times. I actually thought about turning the lights off when I ignited this just for you. So I don't know that anybody watches the video when I post it on YouTube, but that's fun. So now, also take into consideration the noise. Got that nice low hum.
It has like some sort of like motion sensor in it, right? Because
there's motion, so it gives you a little, when you're swatting it back and forth, not hitting your microphone stand. Good grief, I've got so little space in here. And it when you strike it, makes different sounds. So yeah, so pretty cool. But remember that sound and like how you characterize that sound, because something that I wanted to put in last episode that I didn't get a chance to was I actually did record a bit that I was going to add at the end of the show, and then I just decided the show was long enough that I wasn't going to throw it in there. But I actually I nerded out a little bit too much too, so I needed to not nerd out that much. But there's your crystal inside the saber.
Uh-huh.
So we'll pop the purple one out, and probably I mean, the highest contrast, the one that contrasts with it the most is the white one. So you can definitely hear a difference between these, the sound that the lightsabers make with the different colors. So if you remember that nice little
interesting
low hum, there we go. It has accepted the new crystal. It's got the white crystal in there. You made a face. Was that unpleasant for you?
That was not a pleasant noise.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's because you got your headphones up too. I don't know. Maybe you got bad headphones.
My headphones are just fine.
But when I get the blade back in here, I'll ignite the saber and you can hear the difference between the two.
These are way more complex than I had initially understood.
Yeah, so notice how much higher pitched it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the.
It sounds way more alien than the other one.
Yeah, so it's much higher pitched, more crisp, clean sounding. Yeah, so good stuff. So I'm gonna set that off to the side here.
That's pretty cool. That just by changing the crystal, it totally changes the entire vibe.
Mm-hmm. So one other thing that I didn't get a chance to show you and have the listeners hear was the Kylo hilt. I have that displayed right in front of my iPad. So my iMac. So that almost looked like magic when I picked it up. The sit stand that I got for him, I have sitting right below my iMac here, right in front of me, so I can look at it every time I sit down at my. And because we're going for sound here, I'm not going to put the side blades in because the side blades are off over in the corner here. So it just needs the main blade for this. Hold on just a second. But so now I'm in a dark room, so you can see what the difference is between these. So here's the Kylo Ren lightsaber, and I got a longer blade on this. I'm like poking the ceiling with it.
Yeah, it has that flicker to it, like.
Yeah, it crackles and pops, and the blade like flashes. It's easier to see it like on my face and around the room than it is on the actual blade on the video. But and the flash that it makes when the strike flash that it makes doesn't come over on the video quite as well either. So, but that's super fun. So, little pro tip. Hold on, let me turn the lights back on. All right. The pro tip for any of the stuff that you get at Disney is replace the batteries. The batteries that they sell them with are fairly cheap batteries. And so what I did is I went and got some of the really nice, make sure that doesn't fall over there. All right. I got some of the really nice Duracell like Optima batteries for them. And it does make a big difference. So that Kylo blade did not sound quite as good until I put these Duracell Optima batteries in those, and good stuff. So these are the expensive ones, if anybody. These batteries make a big difference. So cool.
More power.
I don't know that there's a ton of other follow up that we needed to do. I did paint my droid, so he now has a copper panel on him, and I added some Arabesh on the back of him for his designation of R1029. Added some silver paint along the black edges so that it looks like the black is chipped off of it, and turned out pretty cool. So
it does look nice.
That would be the follow-up, and I did not put my monkey lizard back on my shoulder for this episode because I know you find that unsettling. But he is sitting right over here.
You're
sitting
so
right
thoughtful.
over here. So, yeah.
Is that a threat? Do I need to be on my best behavior?
Might have to get out my monkey lizard.
Oh my gosh.
No title.
Yep, you don't hear that every day.
All right. So we wanted to talk about the betas today. And I think you're running just one of the betas, right?
Yeah, my iPad. I have a Mac Mini and I have the M1 MacBook Air, but due to the use cases that I have for each computer, I really can't afford to put Monterey in them just yet, especially with everything that I've heard about the Monterey beta.
Yeah, and we'll get to that stuff in a bit.
Yeah, I need my Mac Mini to edit my other podcast, and I rely on an Isotope plugin for that. So that one is untouchable. And then the laptop I use for youth group and doing presentations and leading Bible studies and that sort of stuff. And so I need that to be reliable too. So as much as I would love to play with Monterey, it's just not something that I can pull off with my everyday life. So the iPad gets the beta.
Yeah. I have a visitor here. My cat decided he wanted to jump up here and get some attention. So and when he does that, he likes to rub on my face. But you need to sit down, dude. Come on. So you can sit right there and you're good. I went ahead and, because I'm crazy, updated everything but my iMac to the betas. So not everything. I shouldn't say that, because I didn't do the watch beta, and I think that's the only other beta that I had to do. TV beta, I didn't do that either. But I have my iPhone on the on iOS 15. I have my iPad on iOS 15, and I have my MacBook Pro, my 2016 MacBook Pro. I have that on Monterey. So I have some thoughts. I haven't used the Mac OS a lot yet, but we'll get to that when we get to it. I've got that later in the show. I put that down the list because I don't really have a ton to say about it, but I thought we would start off talking about the changes in Safari, because I thought this would be the area that we have the most to talk about, because most of the other features, so many of the features were just all cross-platform. And this is the one that I think most everybody's been talking about. So I figured we would start there. So have you used Safari a bunch on your iPad yet?
Yeah, I don't like the new tabs. And I'm not a tab, like I don't keep like more than like 3 tabs open like ever. And I still don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite. And it's not even about like the coloring or whatever. It's just like they hid refresh. They like everything is hidden under that stupid 3-dot thing. And then you've got, I don't like it. And then the tabs move. So like if like I have 2 tabs open right now, and I have the right one open. So the URL bar is like the right 2/3. And then I tap the left tab, and then the URL bar is like the left 2/3. It's just like, why are you moving something that doesn't need to move? I don't like it. That's my thoughts.
I think that probably doesn't bother me as much. What does bother me is that there are buttons that normally are on the toolbar, especially in Monterey, that aren't there anymore. You know, yep. I don't use the refresh button all that much, but I do like using some of the other ones, like your share sheet and stuff like that. And I'm used to those being right in the interface. And now you've got to tap the little more button to get to anything. So one bug that I've been having, and this is not necessarily related to Safari, but it's where I've been using it the most, is the multitask dots up at the top. I don't know what to call those, but
yeah,
when you tap on those, I will select like one side of the screen or the other, and so then the interface like splits off, so you can select another app to put in there, and immediately the Springboard crashes every time.
Oh, really? I've not had that bug at all.
Yeah. Well, also consider I'm on the original or the iPad Pro. So it might be that it's just affecting the older iPads, but every single time, and I've rebooted the iPad and all that, and it still happens every single time. Springboard crashes, and so I haven't really been able to test out the multitasking because it keeps crashing Springboard. So, but I can still do it the old way, but the new way is just not working for me.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, we'll get there. Hopefully, they'll get that fixed. But as far as Safari on iPhone, I would have been interested to hear what you had to say about that, because this is where I think a lot of even though there's been a lot of criticism about the new tab structure and all that in the iPad and Monterey versions, I think the iOS version of it has gotten a lot of attention because of just the strangeness of it. So have you seen what it looks like? And
isn't the URL bar on the bottom now?
Yes. Let me see if I can share my screen with you so you can see it. All right. You can see it okay?
Oh, aren't you fancy?
Yeah, you like that? I am fancy.
I do.
There's probably a whole lot to talk about just looking at my home screen, but let's go into Safari. I do not have Safari on my homepage, but so let's get to
why does it move?
Do you see that? Yeah.
Why are they moving everything?
Let's just pull up Google because we can. So the bar is at the bottom, which is nice for reachability reasons.
Right, but look, it's hiding part of the UI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, it goes away. It does give you the night. Whoops! Totally just tapped on a link instead of pulled that up. It does give you the ability to flip between your tabs, and then the tabs display differently now too.
That's better. That's so much better.
I agree. I think that having a more tiled view instead of the stinking
the like Rolodex sort of deal.
Yeah. So
this the tile view is much better.
And as a side note, have you ever gone in and seen that there is an option for how often the tabs disappear out of here or are deleted? You can set it to you can set it to a day, week, a month, so that if you want the tabs in Safari automatically deleted, you can do that. So I have I set it up for every day because otherwise I accumulate too many tabs and it drives me crazy.
I say, who's keeping a tab open for a month?
Right.
Just silly.
But yeah, so that's Safari.
Yeah, I like the new tab view. I don't know why the URL bar hides UI elements and moves. Like if you're going to put it on the bottom, put it on the bottom, but don't have it block stuff. Like that's just dumb. It's just not.
And something that I don't like, and it's if you can imagine what you're seeing at the top of the screen, the notches cut out in that gray area. Why can't the page just go all the way to the top? Why is there still a gray bar there? You're wiping out the whole interface on the top there for to give more space, but you still have that little gray bar up there. And I understand what it's doing up there, but I've seen other UI elements where there's no gray bar there. And they adapt the information that you have up there to the color that's behind it. So maybe it goes to a black on white as opposed to a white on gray or whatever. So there's still UI elements that are taking up the screen. So I don't know. It seems a little interesting. I will tell you, I don't hate this quite as much as everyone else does, or everyone else seems to. I'm not super excited about having to tap into this little more button to get to all of what you can do. Adding a bookmark or adding something to read later. The share sheet is buried in here too, so you don't have just a button from the UI to share stuff. It's 2 taps now instead of a single tap. So, I find that it's a little bit more cumbersome to get around the UI now because they just stripped it down so much. So yeah. But I do love the focus stuff in iOS. If we're ready to move on from Safari,
yeah, absolutely.
Focus is so cool. So I set up a page for when I'm working. That if we go into, and I can show you here in the pages, I have a page set up right in the middle on the top there that is just 4 apps that I use at work a lot, and then widgets that provide me information and stuff that I will use at work fairly regularly. So that page shows up when I'm at work and only when I'm at work, because it's set up with geolocation.
Oh, nice.
So when I get to work, I walk in, and as soon as the geolocation acknowledges that I'm at work, it switches me into my work focus and adds that page to the home screen. It limits what apps are notifying me throughout the day. It limits who can contact me throughout the day. It does some really cool stuff that, I almost kind of wish they could have demoed this better. Man, I think that there's something really cool here. The only thing it doesn't do that I wish I could figure out how to make it do is to turn off the Wi-Fi when I get to work, because our Wi-Fi network is crap at work. So I tend to use LTE when I'm at work because my speeds are like 2-3 times as fast. So
you can do that with a shortcut because you can trigger focus modes from shortcuts. So you can just build it in to a shortcut to kill your Wi-Fi too.
But is that going to provide me the
geolocation?
Yeah, does it work with geolocation?
You can run automations on your shortcuts, and they can be geotagged. So yes, you should still be able to do that.
No, perhaps I will dig into it when I have the time. But so that focus in and of itself is really neat. I have been looking into like building different contexts for what's the word I'm looking for? Like building contexts for the different focuses that I can create, like maybe make one for church. So when I'm at church, it strips down all the stuff that I don't use normally, and just gives me like the apps that I need for when I'm at church. So
yeah, that's a clever idea.
I should do that to my wife. Take Facebook off her phone when she's up. I didn't say that.
Wow. Shots fired. Shots fired.
I'm just kidding, hon.
Oh boy. I am so not involved. I am so not involved in any of this.
Oh, I just thought it would be funny. No, she's not terrible at that. So you have anything in iPad OS that you're really excited about?
Well, I do love the fact that I can now have widgets on my iPad, Mitch. And by on my iPad, I mean like freed from their silly prison that they used to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind the rotating. I really don't. I'm doing it right now. Rotating my iPad. Mm-hmm. It's fine. They should have done this from the beginning.
So I discovered something about the rotating.
Yes.
I was getting kind of upset with, like, I took the Audible app off my home screen and added the Audible widget, like the small one. So something that should be said is that the size classes for widgets on the iPad are not a 1-to-1 comparison to what's on the iPhone. So your small widget only takes up the space of one icon. on the home screen. So
Yes,
I replaced the Audible app with the Audible widget, the small widget. And when I added that, I added it to a certain spot in landscape that I wanted it. So it's sitting right next to my Kindle app because it just seems like those two should go together. And my Comixology app is right there. And then I also have my LinkedIn Learning app kind of in that corner, those three things kind of sitting in that corner. Well, when I rotated my rotated into portrait mode, all of a sudden, for some crazy reason, the Audible widget went all the way down into the right-hand corner of the screen. And I thought that's weird. That shouldn't do that because that's nowhere close to where I put it in landscape. Yeah. So I started messing around with that a little bit. When I moved it to back next to the Kindle app in portrait, when I switched it back to landscape, it stayed where I put it in landscape. So I'm wondering if this is designed like if I move something somewhere in landscape and then go to portrait and move it there in portrait, if I'm sending a message to the operating system that this is where I want it. I'm wondering if that's coded in or if it's just a bug right now.
Well, I'm testing it. Okay. I just changed the location of two applications in portrait and I'm going back to landscape. You are 100% correct. There are two different layouts completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
interesting.
I think that is a cool little thing if that's intentional and that's not a bug.
I sure hope it's intentional.
Yeah, I think that's cool that, I can actually customize each layout. It has not been expressly said. I don't know that it's been written anywhere that that's how it works, but I discovered that the other day when I was moving stuff around and I dig it. I hope it stays this way.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I was about to get really mad and say that they should have done this a year ago because all they're doing is just rotating the apps, but they're actually two separate layouts. And so if that's what took the extra year, then I'm all for it because that's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to look at this and say, okay, this is what they took the extra year for.
I'm giving them a golf clap right now. Kudos. Mm-hmm. I appreciate because I did not realize because I like 98% of the time use my iPad connected to the Magic Keyboard. So it's 98% of the time in or landscape. So this was, I had not noticed that. So you are, I've not heard anyone else mention this either, Mitch. You might be breaking the,
I'm a pioneer.
Yes, you are a passionate pioneer who's brave enough
I'm an iPad OS forensic specialist. Wow.
iPad OS FS.
So
rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah. So I am kind of digging using the large widgets on the screens. I really like splitting my screens up into sections. I do that on the iPhone as you saw when I was sharing the screen with you, like having a widget and then like 4 app icons and then app icons right below the other widget with a widget next to it, and just kind of having this kind of Z shape with how I have those arranged. So I've taken that to iPad, and the one exception that I've made is on the second page. So just to give you an indication of how I'm thinking about this, I've now decided since I went to the iPad beta here that I'm going to start on my iPhone and iPad having a home screen that is all the apps that I normally need for the day. So these are all my daily driver apps. And then having a second screen that's all my entertainment apps. So games, video, audio stuff. And those two screens, I can have those separated out so that I'm not I don't have a bunch of entertainment stuff on the home screen, and it's been working out pretty well for me so far. But on the iPad, I use the extra large Apple TV widget on there to be able to see like what TV shows do I have that are on the Apple TV right now that I could watch, and actually have found it a little bit more pleasurable to watch them on my devices. So I think it's been good that way. So,
well, I for one cannot. I can't use that giant widget. I just can't. It's I don't. There's nothing on my iPad that. Mitch, it's so big. Look at that thing.
Yeah, that's great.
There's not a single application on my device that deserves that much space.
There's so much information there. It's good.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I will never be using it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm testing it out. I have on the home screen, I've got 4 video widgets. So I've got I'm sorry, we're not widgets, icons. So I've got Hulu, Disney Plus, YouTube, and the MLB app. And then in the bottom middle section, I've got 4 Apple Arcade game apps that I'm playing right now that are sitting in the middle there, and then the rest of the page is widgets. So I like having less icons and more widgets on the screen. I like the visual of it. So even though this is unbalanced, but I can live with that.
This is what I'm working with. I got all my widgets on the top and all my apps on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the first rendition. We'll see what changes as time goes on.
Well, if it works for you, I'm fine with it.
As you drink your coffee judgingly, I saw that.
Yeah,
Nice.
The Bible calls us to take the speck out of our brother's eye before we take the log out of our own, right?
That's exactly what it says. Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to cover in iPad OS? The multitasking is a little weird yet.
I mean, yeah, I don't have the bug that you do, so I actually quite like the new multitasking. I like that it's not completely hidden. I like that you have options, whether on the screen or through keyboard shortcuts, to initiate and change apps and all of that stuff using the globe key, which is really nice. I know some people have kind of like poo-pooed it as like, well, that's not good enough. It's a lot better than what we had, and I think it's good enough for a lot of people. So I'm in the camp of good job, Apple. The new multitasking stuff, very good. Quick note, cool idea. I played with it once, and then I haven't touched it since because I don't use Apple Notes. So it's a cool feature that's 100% useless to me. But I think more importantly, it is hopefully a sign of what's to come with this new interaction type, and that hopefully at some point Apple will open up that API to third-party developers in a year or 2 or 3 or whatever it is. And I will be much more excited about that sort of quick access if it's open to other applications. But as it stands, cool feature, really neat, useless to me. So
what I do dig about it is that it does tie to websites. It ties itself to websites. I haven't played with the how it works with files yet. Like if I'm at work and I'm looking at, because I'm the nerd that I've got to have everything digital and making notes on my iPad instead of using paper. So I have documents on my iPad that I mark up and stuff like that. And could I pull up from the corner, make a note, and then swipe it away and have that note tied to that document that I was working in? I haven't seen if that does that or not.
I'm not sure.
Because that would be pretty useful to me.
Yeah. Like you said, I know it does that with websites, which is super cool. But yeah, like I said, it's a really cool feature. It's quite handy and convenient and a little bit powerful too, but I have zero use case for it because it's tied to Apple Notes. So for those of you that do have a use case for it, I'm a little jealous.
I will say that I love that they brought App Library to the iPad. It still has all the same issues that we've talked about before. The folders like to resort themselves. You don't have any control over where those apps go and stuff like that. It has all the same issues, but you know what? If I had to live in a world with it or without it, I'm glad we have it. Because now I can hide all these apps. I mean, I'm literally within the last week since I put the beta on my iPad, I'm using my iPad more. Like I told my wife the other day, I says, this has turned my iPad into my living room computer. And now I don't drag my MacBook up there anymore, or haven't. Except for like when I put Monterey on it the other day, I had it sitting next to me. But I don't feel compelled to keep my MacBook up there for any reason, because I can get to whatever I need on my iPad, and it's not as cumbersome. I can read on it. I've been reading some devotionals lately on it, and different stuff like that. And it's totally convenient on here. And I love the fact that it's not just a mess of apps like it was before, but it's all organized. It's, I have it looking the way that I want it to, and I don't have places where I just shovel off all the crap that I didn't want to look at. There's no utilities folder anymore that has all the junk in it that I don't use. It's just there because it's doing stuff in the background. So
yeah, it's nice. And again, this is one of those things last year where I was like, what the crap? Why is this not on the iPad? It made no sense. And now it's here and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, it's so good. What do you think about how they've designed it for the iPad, that there's a permanent folder in the dock for it?
It's an interesting choice. Because the idea of having the app library is that you're not going to have multiple home screens in theory, right? People do whatever they're going to do. And so if that's the case, that you're only going to have one, maybe two home screens because you have the app library in your dock. Well, that only means you have to swipe once to get to the app library anyways. Now, I like having the option to have it, or I like having it in the dock, because if I want 17 home screens, I can have 17 home screens and still get to it easily. But I don't. I have two, and frankly, the only reason I have two is because I haven't bothered to get rid of the second one yet. Like, I don't even need it. Yeah. So I think it should be an option to have in the dock. Like, you should be able to toggle whether you want it in the dock or not. Because in my case, I'll have one home screen, the dock, and then the app library, and that's it. So I don't need it in the dock because I can just swipe to the right, because it only takes one swipe. But, I think it should be a toggle to let you have it in the dock or not. And now it may be an option. I haven't checked settings. I don't think it is, but it could be. I just haven't checked yet because it hasn't annoyed me enough yet.
If it was a setting, it'd probably be under home screen and dock. Oh, nice.
Show app library and dock right there. It is an option. Boom.
Where is it?
I have toggle. If you go to home screen and dock, go to the dock section, show app library and dock.
Right. Very good. Yeah. So there's a toggle for that. All right. So it was really annoying.
Which makes me happy.
I'm in there right now, and it was really annoying me that apps were still installing themselves on the home screen. And, where on iPhone for the last year, they've just been installing into App Library, and then you move them to the home screen if you want them on the home screen. Well, in the home screen settings, you have the option to add to home screen on new downloads or move them straight to App Library. And I'm switching that right to App Library only. So show notification badges in App Library. That's an interesting.
Thank you.
It's an interesting toggle.
I hate notification badges, Mitch. I hate them so much.
There's only a couple of apps that I keep them on, like Messages, because Messages, I want to make sure that I'm up to date on everything that's going on in Messages. But like right now, I'm looking at my iPad home screen. I'm thinking, you know what? I should turn those off on Todoist. So I don't need to know that there's 14 things to do today.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not like OmniFocus was, where if I can't do it right now, I can schedule it to not do it right now, and it shows up later. So, not that I would have spent that much time doing that anyway, but. So
I just got rid of my second home screen, Mitch. It's glorious. Now my iPad is just one home screen and App Library, and it's beautiful.
So here's the thing about home screens, and this is quickly becoming my opinion on the use of home screens. I think home screens should be used but categorized well. So if you've maybe categorized by context. So if you have like, here's all my daily driver apps, like I do on my main screen. So I have Carrot Weather on here. I have the Reader app, so I can go in and look at my news. I've got Safari. I've got email. I've got a couple other things on here that probably would be better served on another screen, but I'll deal with that. I've got a widget for all my files, and just there's stuff on the home screen, on my main home screen that is just like, this is the stuff that I use my iPad for. So this is where I want it. On the second home screen is like, if I'm just going to kick back on the couch and I want to play a game or watch a quick video or listen to some audio, that's what my second home screen's for. Now I've got something percolating right now where I use my iPad at church. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, there's a couple of apps that I have down in my dock. I'm like, I could just put those all on a third homepage that's hidden when I'm not at church, and then set up a focus for when I walk into the church doors. This home screen is available to, it either is available or is the only one that's available when I walk into the church. So I think that's becoming the new role of the home screen, is being able to be more context aware for the apps that are available. Now, I thought I'd heard that they were talking about making it possible to have the same apps on multiple home screens. Yep. Is that have they been able to do that yet? Are they doing that?
Yeah, it's part of focus mode.
Is it? Okay.
Because you can have different screens for different focus modes. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think I heard there's like there was a thing going around the internet of like a screen that was just all Twitter like the full iPhone screen was just Twitter. Yeah. But yeah, you can have different home screens with, like say you want to have your Logos Bible on your main home screen, but you also want it on just your church one. Mm-hmm. You should be able to do that using the focus modes.
Yeah, because to me, that would be super helpful for me, because then I can hide all the apps that I don't use at church or I don't want to see and not even have available to me. So my Solitaire app is not on my main screen. Not that I have time with what I do, but if I was sitting down in the congregation, I would be tempted to sit there and play a game while pastor's preaching. And he doesn't listen to the podcast, so he won't hear that. Although my wife does, and she might tell him. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, you already called her out on the Facebook thing, so you better believe
that's right. I probably earned it. So.
Yep.
So anyway, I can't think of anything else to talk about with the iPad. We haven't really been able to dig into any of the sharing features, Share Play or Shared With You. I don't know if you've seen anything on.
No, and I'll be honest, like the whole Share Play thing to me, zero interest.
You don't want to watch a movie with me?
I do, but I'd rather watch a movie with you at your house or at my house or in a movie theater together. Not while I'm at my house and you're at your house. Like, it's just weird.
We can chat while we're watching the movie. By the way, I don't chat when I'm watching a movie. I watch the movie.
I know. Mm-hmm. That's the point.
Who are these monsters? I cannot tell you the number of times I've gone to see a movie in the theater, and which is exactly why I don't go to the theater to watch movies if I can avoid it. It's that idiot that's behind me that will not stop talking. That drives me up a wall. And or they bring kids to a violent action movie and they're sitting down in the front row screaming and, all this other garbage. Like, shut up, watch the movie. That's what you paid your $20 for. Sit down and watch your movie. I'm figuring in treats with the $20. So anyway, and we go to a really nice theater. So, and generally speaking, we don't really run into that a whole lot. We go to one of these like bistro theaters where you got the big dream loungers and you can order food and they sell alcohol and it's good.
Yeah.
I like it. Got to get the alcohol in the first hour of the movie so that you can metabolize it before you have to drive home. So, hey, I'm being responsible.
Good man.
Or at least Wisconsinable. I'll save that. Okay. Anyway, so a quick little meander. We had my wife's aunt and niece over last weekend, and they're in Minnesota, and I don't know what it's like down in Illinois, but drinking is like not that big of a thing. Like, a lot of your churches are much more strict on drinking up in Minnesota, at least. And so we hosted these two last week, and my mother-in-law basically said, hide all the alcohol. Don't let them see it, because they won't say anything to us, but they'll come back and be like, oh, they're a bunch of sinners. They need Jesus.
Oh, so they'll just judge you and then gossip about it.
Yeah. Well, it's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Nice,
gee, isn't that the cat calling the kettle, or the pot? I can't even say it right, Mitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Have you heard of the Minnesota Nice thing?
Yes.
I apologize if we have any Minnesota listeners, but I lived in Minnesota. Minnesota Nice is passive aggressive. Mm-hmm. That's what Minnesota Nice is. Let's not fool ourselves. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I live in Minnesota. Minnesota Nice is nice. We take care of each other. It's a good thing. No, it's not. It's passive aggressive. And we all know it. You need to deal with it. So
yeah, my other podcast that I do with Dave, he lived in Eden Prairie for a couple of years. He was a youth pastor there, so he knows all. He's the one that introduced me to Minnesota Nice.
Yeah, so good stuff. All right, macOS Monterey. I have not used this a whole lot. I think my first experience when it rebooted was, ooh, that wallpaper is really pretty. Because it was the purple version of the really purple, like nighttime version of the default wallpaper. And it is really pretty. It's a really pretty wallpaper. But they've included all the wallpapers from the iMacs as well, all the colored wallpapers from the different colored iMacs. So I'm rocking the orange wallpaper, what they call the Hello wallpaper. And I really like it. It's cool. Looks really neat, really clean. I will tell you that it did break some of my apps. So Rogue Amoeba has not supporting Monterey yet. So Audio Hijack, I haven't tried Audio Hijack, but it killed SoundSource. Like SoundSource can't run on here. So I'm assuming that that's all the underlying
all the
audio stuff. The core audio stuff has changed, so they're working on that, and that's not unusual. Rogue Amoeba. What did I say? Rogue Amoeba. They work so close to the core. They're so deep into the inner workings of the code that it's not uncommon for their stuff to break on an update like this. So be prepared. I would definitely check if you've got some mission critical apps. Like, it's not mission critical on my MacBook. I don't really. Basically, what I use this for week to week is I'll do a little bit of audio editing on it, but not much, and I don't need to do it on this computer. But the other thing is I monitor our YouTube stream at church on this laptop. So, and I don't even really need to do that. So it doesn't get a lot of use throughout the week. It gets a little bit, but not a ton. So, and I have devices that I can do that on other than this if need be. So I didn't think I was risking a whole lot putting it on my MacBook, but my experience so far is beyond those few apps, everything's running just fine. Again, the share for you features or sharing features, like I said, I haven't used. Universal, what do they call it? Universal control is not available yet. So I think that's going to be the killer feature when it's available, and is probably going to push me to update my iMac when everything's working properly. But to be able to use one mouse and keyboard for every device I have sitting in front of me, so I think that'd be really cool. But other than that, I mean, man, I wish they would, I'm gonna say exactly what you've been saying for the iPad for a while. I really wish they'd pull these widgets out onto the desktop, because these widgets on Mac OS are useless. I think there would be a much higher adoption if we could pull them out onto the desktop, arrange them the way we want to. I don't know that they need to do like a grid layout for us. I mean, I don't know if you remember Confabulator or, different apps like that. There was an app called Geek Tool that allowed you to put widgets out on the home screen years ago. I think Confabulator became YouTube widgets. Yahoo widgets.
Yahoo
at one point. Yeah, at one point. And so you could have like your weather widget and a clock and different things on the home screen. And you could put them anywhere you wanted to. So you could put them down at the bottom in the corners if you wanted to. You could put them up on the upper left, or, just they were free form. You could put them anywhere on the screen that you wanted to. And there hasn't been anything like that for years. So it'd be really nice if they would allow us to use those widgets on the home screen.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't even remember what else they changed. Safari, same thing with iPad. I mean, you're using you have your tabs, and each tab is basically the address bar for that tab. I don't hate that. It's different, and it probably is going to take a little getting used to. A lot of your functions, a lot of the stuff that you want to be able to do with the browser that used to be in the title bar are now hidden in the More menu, in the address bar. Although I will tell you that there is a refresh button if you mouse over it now. Uh-huh. So you can refresh. That was one thing that people were complaining about. So there's that's little less.
That's on the iPad too.
Yeah.
If you mouse over the bar, the refresh thing does show up now, which is nice.
They do.
But again, it's hidden. It's not there. Like, you have to accidentally discover that.
Hold on. Add a quick note. Oh, interesting. So you can add notes very similar like you do on the iPad in Safari. So if you click on that more button, there's a option that says add quick note. So obviously you're typing it and not handwriting it, but that's interesting. But I will tell you that all my extensions are showing up in the toolbar up above, so they're not hidden. So I don't think it's as bad as probably the iPad version. So I don't know. I gotta use it a little bit more to really give you a better idea. But I don't find the changes as disruptive as some people are complaining about. When they do, when it is as disruptive, I will let you know.
I don't doubt it.
Was there anything else that they talked about? I can't really think of anything else. Safari was just the big thing, I think, that a lot of people are having issue with. It feels a little bit like they maybe changed Launchpad a little bit. Like the apps are a little bit bigger, a little bit tighter together. That could just be me, but that it just feels a little bit different. But otherwise, that hasn't really changed any. And yes, for those of you who don't use Launchpad, I do use Launchpad. It works for me. Works the way my brain works. But I did create a hot corner for it. So when I slide the mouse down into the lower right-hand corner, it pulls up Launchpad.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't have it in my dock. But cool. Anything else you wanted to say about the betas?
I mean, no, we covered the iPad pretty thoroughly, and that's the only one I'm running. So I don't really have anything to add to the other ones because I have no knowledge of them.
All right. Oh, tomfoolery there. What's delighting you today, Cam?
International soccer, Mitch. The Euro final is tomorrow. The Copa America final the Euro final is England versus Italy. It's going to be a very good game. It's England's first major tournament final since like the World Cup in '66. Brazil versus Argentina is the Copa America. Why are you laughing and pointing your finger at me, Mitch?
Did you listen to Connected from this last week yet?
Yeah, and how Mike and Federico have a stupid thing, even though neither of them like soccer.
Yeah.
And Federico's just being a turd just to be one.
Yeah, because they do that.
Of course, they call it football. So they asked, Steven, who's an American, if football was coming home, and he's like, "Well, I mean, college football starts in like 2 months." That was a perfect answer. So England versus Italy tomorrow, which I'm quite excited about. Brazil versus Argentina, which is going to be an amazing game. The U.S.'s first game in the CONCACAF Gold Cup is tomorrow against, I think they're playing Haiti. So, just lots of the Euro championships have been incredible. I haven't watched much of the Copa America, but I'm going to watch Brazil versus Argentina for sure. That's going to be an amazing game. And then I'm excited, obviously for the Gold Cup. The U.S. has a very subpar team compared to what it could have because all of our best players play in Europe and they're all having their preseasons with their club teams. So we're missing like our 6 best players. So we'll see how that turns out, but it's not World Cup qualifying. So it's not a huge deal, but it is nice to win the Gold Cup. So yeah, just lots of really good soccer, lots of really, really good soccer. And that makes me happy. 'Tis my favorite sport. I enjoys it quite a lot.
All right. Well, I'm excited for you.
Well, I mean, in the Euros were supposed to be last year, but COVID, so it's technically Euro 2020, even though they're playing it in 21. So they're doing the same thing with the Olympics. They're still calling it the 2020 Olympics. So it's just kind of funny, but yeah. It's very enjoyable.
All right.
What about you, Mitch?
Well, I'm gonna do something a little different today. I have two things that that are delighting me, and I couldn't choose between the two, so I'm gonna share them both. The first thing is I told you before the show started that I got a new thing, and that's the Mute Me button. It's the illuminated mute button that was on Indiegogo. I think they had it running on Kickstarter as well. I ordered two of these, and I've got one of them connected to the computer today, and I just got it working right before we went live, so that was fun. But what it is it's a mute button for when you're on, Zoom, a FaceTime call, a bunch of different of these services. This is a hardware mute button that interacts with the software mute buttons in the software. So it's not really a system setting mute button. It just works with a handful of apps, and they're still working on the software to make it compatible with more stuff. So eventually, hopefully, they'll make it so that it pretty much works with everything. But right now, we record in Zoom. So for me to hit the mute button in Zoom, it doesn't record, and I've actually used it a couple times during the episode already. For when I hollered at my lady in a tube earlier, I muted, and a couple other things. So, but it works great. And one of the cool things about it is that the button itself, it's a round cylinder with a touch surface on the top, but the whole thing lights up, and you can customize the colors. You can also customize it to pulse or dim down, or if you don't want the light on at all, you can set it to not have the light on at all. And I have it set up in what I think should be the standard default: green that the mic's on, red that the mic's muted. So when I tap it, it turns red, and then y'all can't hear me. When I tap it again, it turns green, and then you can hear me again. So, and you're leaning up towards the mic, so I'm thinking you got a question. No. So this little device just makes it a lot easier for me, rather than having to reach down underneath the desk where I have my soundboard to hit that little tiny button on the soundboard to mute me, to be able to just tap a button that's sitting on the desk right in front of me, and is giving me a very clear indication as to if I'm on or not. And just works really nice for me. So that's the Mute Me button. I will have a link in the show notes if you guys are interested in that. They are now offering the Mute Me button, I think, through their website. So you can check that out there. So I think they're ready to go with that. So they got past all the chip shortages and all that kind of craziness. That I've funded enough things in the last year that I've learned so much about product production that I'm waiting on something right now. It's the BusyBox sign. I'll talk about it a little bit more when I finally get it. But they were supposed to ship like a year and a half ago.
Oh gosh!
But with COVID, they keep running into issues with their digital version, which is basically a little LCD screen that you can customize what it says. So it's like think of an on-air sign. Mm-hmm. This is like a little customizable on-air sign, so that you can put any kind of graphic on it that you want, put any message on it that you want. I just wanted it for an on-air sign, and I thought, you know what? If they got a digital version, I'm a geek. I like that. I can play with it and do more stuff with it, and it would give me the ability to communicate with my wife, who would be upstairs, that I'm recording right now, and I need quiet down here. Or what I'm doing down here, and if she can interrupt. So if I was working from home, or if I was, like we're recording the podcast right now, even though she's at work, I can put recording up on the sign up there, and she would know, what, I probably need to keep it down because the kitchen is right above me. So her moving around and, starting the dishwasher or something like that creates noise down here that would make it difficult for doing recording. So, but that's hopefully coming soon too. The other thing that is delighting me right now is I'm really enjoying baseball right now. I have not been into baseball in a very long time, and
I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned you had the MLB TV app, and I was like, I don't remember Mitch being that much of a baseball fan to have that app. So
I grew up watching and playing baseball. We went to, old Milwaukee County Stadium in Milwaukee to watch the Brewers play when I was growing up. And that was something that, like, my grandparents would pay for everybody to go, and we'd all go down there as a troop. I mean, and when I say that, I'm one of 9 cousins on that side. So 9 grandchildren. All my 4 aunts and uncles and their spouses, and then my grandma and grandpa. So when we took a troop down there, So, we'd rent out a whole section and cause trouble, because that's what my family does. So it's good. But honestly, it's the old story. And I've heard it was from so many people, back in the 90s, there was the strike, and they didn't play. And then there was a lot of hard feelings about all of that stuff, because it was one of the first big sports strikes that affected gameplay. And so a lot of us just kind of fell out of enjoying baseball. And this is the first time in a long time that I, have really been enjoying listening to baseball. Listening to Bob Uecker call a baseball game takes me back to when I was a kid.
He's still calling games.
He calls all the home games now. I think he's been around long enough, and I want to say he's in his 70s now. But
I didn't think he was still alive.
I knew that he hadn't passed or anything, and he's had a couple of health problems over the last several years. But he still calls games. He doesn't travel with the team anymore, but he calls the home games. So, and they're working on guys that are going to call the games after he's gone, which is, I think, what the away games are really working nice for, is kind of giving these guys credibility. They're one of those 2 guys actually calls the games with Uecker on the home games. So they're really kind of building your next team while you have one of the old famous play callers still there. So he might be one of the last big play callers in the league. I'm not aware of too many others. Harry Carey was a big one, but he's passed on since. But Harry Carey,
just Will Ferrell's Harry Carey was. Hey, if the moon was made out of cheese, would you eat it? I know I would.
I think one of the things that's made it so much fun for me, the MLB app, definitely. We also are still in our trial for the Sirius XM radio in our vehicle. So I have access to that in the vehicle and on my phone. So there is the ability to listen to games. I don't have the time to watch the games. So for me to be able to, when I'm setting up for a truck at work or, doing stuff, to be able to put on my bone conduction headphones and be able to listen to the game kind of just in the background, and it's not disrupting, being able to hear everything that's going on around me. It's just a cool little thing that I can pay attention to a little bit of it when I need to. But then if there's something going on back in my area of the store, I can pay attention to what's going on without it, getting in the way. So it is really, really nice to be able to keep up with them. And it doesn't hurt that Milwaukee's doing really good this year too. So, so far at least. But
have I ever told you what my fantasy baseball team name is?
No.
The Argyle Sox.
I like it. Are they from Argyle or?
No, it's just the pattern,
Oh, but I mean, I get that, but they should be from a town called Argyle. They could be the Argyle Sox.
Well, it's a fantasy team, so they're from all over.
All right.
And they're not doing very good, Mitch. They're not doing good at all.
Nice. So, all right. Well, I will throw the Mute Me into the show notes so you guys can check that out. I also put the Apple beta software page in the show notes. So if you guys want to join us on the betas, I'm going to tell you mission critical stuff for like on the Macs at your own risk. There's a software that is not updated for it, as we said before. You know, I kind of agree with Mike Hurley on this one. He talked about it on Upgrade this last week. If you want to try the iPad or iPhone betas, knock yourself out. They're totally solid. They've been solid for years. The public betas are tested by the developers before they release them to the public. So, you know, barring any like major issue, the public betas have pretty much always been pretty stable. So normally I'd warn you not to do the developer betas because they've bricked devices before. But the public betas have been really, really good. So I don't think that there's much to risk on that. So if you want to play with them, download them, play with them, and have fun with them. So you disagree?
No, I thought my phone was bricked the other day though. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened. And I'm running the iOS 14 betas. So I had like 14.7 before they just released it, you know? Mm-hmm. And my alarm went off. And then I turned my alarm off. And then 40 minutes later, I woke up and my phone was a brick for like 10 minutes. And all of a sudden I picked it up and it was totally fine. So I don't know what happened. But it works now. See? Uh-huh. Cool. So, but that wasn't iOS 15 related at all. I think it was just I think it just needed a moment to collect itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've had zero issues with the iPad beta for iOS 15 on my iPad at all. Like I can even play Hearthstone on it, which I do at lunch every day.
You know, I'm not going to lie. There's been a few of those resprings, and that's not super uncommon to get a respring, you know, with beta software, but it's not a game, you know, it's not a showstopper by any means. It's going to slow you down for a second, but everything comes right back and is just fine. And, you know, it's not like the whole operating system crashing. It's just Springboard crashes. So
for sure.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I think that's all I've got today.
Yep. Me too.
Well, if you are looking for more information or you want to get our back catalog of shows, if you're not in a podcast client, which I don't know why you're not, but you can check out more information on us at innerdialogue.show. Subscribe. I'm telling you, subscribe. Innerdialogue.show. You can find more information. We do have links up there for all of the podcast clients that you might want to use. So Overcast, Apple Podcasts. If you're on Android, I'm sure there's something you can find. Otherwise, you can give us comments, questions, anything. Give us crap. I don't care. On Twitter, I'm at Mitch Craig.
I'm at Cam Brennan.
And you can check us out on Instagram as well. He's at Cam Brennan.
This is true. Yep.
I flipped the script on him there. He's at Cam Brennan. I'm at Radio Mitch on Instagram. And I don't know that we really... Are you anywhere else?
I mean, not really. I honestly, Instagram is the only one that I use.
Okay. He's also at cambrennan.com.
This is true.
I'm at subversiveblack.com, which I haven't updated in quite a while, so you can go there and check out what I got. But there's a great introduction to a series I was going to start like months ago that I never started. So if you want to read that introduction, that's awesome. So all right. Anyway, well, we really
Mitch.
Yes.
Cubs win.
So thank you all for listening. We are gonna get out of here. I don't know, before things go crazier. All right, Cam. It's been a pleasure.
It has. Farewell.